So, I accidentally turned my HOA president into a federal criminal. Yeah, you heard that right. Federal. As in FBI, EPA, Homeland Security. The works. And it all started because this woman, we'll call her Patricia, because of course her name is Patricia, decided that me fishing in my own lake was somehow destroying the neighborhood's property values. But here's the thing she didn't know. That lake? The one she poisoned with enough chemicals to kill everything in it? It was the primary water source for our entire community's drinking water. I'm Jake, and this is the story of how an HOA Karen committed what can only be described as domestic eco-terrorism because she didn't like seeing me catch base on Saturday mornings. Buckle up. This gets wild. Alright, so let me set the scene here. About 3 years ago, my wife and I bought this absolutely gorgeous property in a planned community outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And when I say gorgeous, I mean it was literally our dream home. 5 acres, mountain views, and here's the kicker. A private 2-acre lake right on our property. Now, technically, the lake straddled the property line between our land and the community common area. So about half of it was ours, half was communal. But here's what matters, we had full legal access to use it. Fish it, boat on it, whatever. It was in our deed, crystal clear. This lake wasn't just pretty to look at. It was alive. I'm talking largemouth bass, bluegill, crappie, even some decent catfish. The previous owner had stocked it and maintained it for like 15 years. It was a legitimate fishing paradise. And me? I'm a fishing guy. Always have been. I grew up fishing with my grandpa every weekend. It's like therapy for me. So having this lake was literally the main reason we bought the property. Most Saturday mornings, I'd wake up at dawn, grab my tackle box, and spend 2 or 3 hours out on that water. Just me, the mist coming off the surface, and the sound of bass breaking the waterline. Peaceful, quiet, bothering absolutely nobody, or so I thought. Enter Patricia Vandermeer. Patricia was our HOA president. And look, I know HOA presidents get a bad rap, but Patricia? She earned every bit of it. This woman ran our HOA like it was a militant dictatorship. I'm talking measuring grass height with actual rulers, sending violation notices if your garbage cans were visible from the street for more than 2 hours after pickup, requiring pre-approval for any exterior paint colors, including the exact shade reference number, banning any outdoor decorations except during specific holiday windows. She literally once fined a neighbor $500 because their mailbox post was weathered brown instead of fresh walnut stain. But Patricia had a special obsession. Property values. She was convinced that everything anyone did was either raising or lowering property values. She'd bring it up in every single HOA meeting. Kids playing basketball in a driveway? Lowers property values. Someone parking their perfectly nice truck in their own driveway? Lowers property values. A dog barking literally one time? Lowers property values. The woman was absolutely unhinged. So about 6 months after we moved in, I'm out fishing one Saturday morning. Beautiful day, caught 3 nice bass, life is good. I come back in, and there's an email waiting for me. From Patricia. Sent at 6:47 a.m. Subject line, community concerns, immediate attention required. I open it, and I swear to you this email was 14 paragraphs long. About my fishing. The highlights. It has come to the board's attention that you are frequently engaging in recreational fishing activities on the community lake. Several residents have expressed concerns that these activities create an unsightly appearance and lower the aesthetic value of our community. The use of fishing equipment, boats, and related paraphernalia presents a visual disruption to the natural beauty our residents expect. And this is my favorite part, we ask that you immediately cease all fishing activities to preserve our community's premium property values and aesthetic standards. I literally had to read it 3 times because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She wanted me to stop fishing in my own lake that I had legal deed rights to use because it looked unsightly. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I wrote back a polite but firm email explaining, the lake is on my property, I have explicit deed rights to use it, I am fishing at dawn when basically nobody is even awake, this is completely legal and within my rights. I thought that would be the end of it. I was adorably naive. Over the next month, Patricia went ballistic. I got emails every single week, then twice a week. Then she started sending certified letters to my actual physical mailbox. Each one got more and more unhinged. Your continued disregard for community standards is unacceptable. The board is prepared to take legal action. You are single-handedly destroying decades of careful community curation. She tried to rally other neighbors against me, sent out a community-wide email calling me non-compliant and antagonistic to community values. She called an emergency HOA meeting specifically about lake usage policies. I went to that meeting. Huge mistake, by the way. Patricia spent 45 minutes presenting a PowerPoint, an actual PowerPoint, about how fishing was incompatible with our community vision. She had slides with graphs. One was titled "The Correlation Between Visible Recreational Activities and Property Depreciation." It was insane. But here's the thing. Legally, she had no ground to stand on. Our HOA covenant didn't prohibit fishing. Our deed explicitly granted us lake access. And multiple neighbors actually came to my defense, saying they liked seeing me out there, that it made the community feel peaceful and alive. One guy literally said, "I bought here because of the lake. Why wouldn't we want people using it?" Patricia was not happy. The meeting ended with basically nothing changing. I could keep fishing. Patricia was furious. And that's when things got dangerous. 2 weeks later, I woke up on a Sunday morning planning to fish. I walked down to the lake and immediately knew something was horribly wrong. The water looked off, cloudy, almost oily on the surface. And then I saw them, dead fish, dozens of them, floating belly up all along the shoreline. I'm talking bass, bluegill, catfish, everything, just dead. My first thought was a natural algae bloom or something. But this was October, wrong time of year. And the water had this weird chemical smell. I called a buddy of mine who's a fisheries biologist. He came out that afternoon, took one look and said, "Dude, this is chemical. Someone dumped something in here." He took water samples. We sent them to a lab. The results came back 3 days later. Someone had dumped approximately 15 gallons of concentrated copper sulfate and algaseed into the lake. Professional grade stuff. The kind used for large-scale aquatic management. The concentration was so high it killed literally everything. Not just fish, we're talking frogs, turtles, aquatic plants, beneficial bacteria, everything. The lake was ecologically dead. I was devastated and furious because I knew who did this. There was only one person obsessed enough, vindictive enough, and unhinged enough to do something like this. Patricia. So here's where I became a detective. I filed a police report. They took it seriously because this was technically environmental destruction and possible poisoning of community resources. But I also did my own digging. I started asking around. Turned out, 3 different neighbors had security cameras that faced the lake area. One of them, bless this man forever, had footage from the night before the fish die-off. And there she was, Patricia Vandermeer, at 2:47 a.m., wearing all black, driving her white Lexus to the lake access point. The video showed her unloading multiple large containers and dumping them directly into the water. It was all on camera. But wait, it gets so much worse. Because while I was building my case, something else started happening in the community. People were getting sick. See, here's the thing Patricia didn't know. That lake, it wasn't just a pretty water feature. It was the primary source for our community's well water system. Our development used a shared well system that drew from underground aquifers that were fed by, you guessed it, runoff and seepage from that lake. And now that lake was full of concentrated copper sulfate and industrial algaseeds, which meant our drinking water was contaminated. Within a week of the poisoning, multiple families reported severe stomach issues, vomiting and diarrhea, rashes, and skin irritation, metallic taste in the water. One elderly couple ended up in the hospital with copper toxicity. A 3-year-old developed a severe allergic reaction. The county health department got involved. They tested our water system. Copper levels were 40 times above safe drinking limits. The algicide compounds were present at concentrations that exceeded EPA safety standards by a factor of 15. Our entire community, 47 homes, about 130 people, was put on a mandatory do not use water order. For 6 weeks, we couldn't drink, cook with, or bathe in our own water. The county had to bring in water trucks and bottled water distribution. All because Patricia wanted to stop me from fishing. Now, when you poison a community water supply, even accidentally, you're not dealing with local consequences anymore. This became a federal case. The EPA got involved. The FBI got involved. Because poisoning water supplies, even unintentionally, falls under domestic terrorism statutes when it affects that many people. Patricia was arrested within 72 hours of the water contamination being confirmed. They found receipts for the chemicals in her car, Google search history showing she'd researched how to kill fish in a lake, text messages to another HOA board member saying she was going to take care of the fishing problem permanently, the security footage showing her dumping the chemicals. It was an absolute slam dunk case. She was charged with federal level violation of the Clean Water Act, reckless endangerment of public water supply, multiple counts of assault because people got sick, state level criminal mischief, environmental destruction, poisoning, vandalism. She tried to claim she was just trying to clean the lake, that she didn't know it was connected to the water supply, that she was acting in the community's best interest. None of it mattered. The evidence was overwhelming. Patricia Vandermeer pleaded guilty to avoid trial. She was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison, 5 years probation after release, $340,000 in restitution to cover water system cleanup, medical bills, and environmental restoration, permanent ban from serving on any HOA board, community service working with environmental cleanup organizations. The HOA's insurance had to pay out an additional $500,000 for emergency water provisions and system remediation. And Patricia? She lost everything. Her house went into foreclosure because of the restitution payments. Her husband divorced her. She became a social pariah. All because she couldn't stand the sight of someone fishing on a Saturday morning. The cleanup took almost 8 months. Environmental specialists had to completely drain and flush the well system, install new filtration tests repeatedly to ensure safety, treat the lake to neutralize remaining chemicals, reintroduce beneficial bacteria and plant life, eventually restock fish. The community rallied together in a way I'd never seen before. People who barely spoke to each other before were now organizing water distribution, carpooling to laundromats, supporting the families with medical bills. It was horrible, but it also brought us closer. And me? I testified at Patricia's sentencing hearing. I didn't ask for maximum punishment or anything vindictive. I just told the truth about what happened and how it affected everyone. The judge looked at Patricia and said something I'll never forget. You were given authority to serve your community. Instead, you weaponized that authority against a neighbor engaged in a completely legal, peaceful activity. In doing so, you poisoned not just a lake, but the trust and safety of everyone who lived there. That is unconscionable. So where are things now? The lake is recovering. It'll take years to fully restore the ecosystem, but we've got fish back. I've caught a few small bass. It's getting there. Our community has a completely new HOA board. We actually rewrote our entire covenant to include term limits for board members, recall provisions for abuse of authority, clear guidelines on what the HOA can and cannot regulate, required transparency in all board actions. We're a better community now, honestly. And me? I still fish every Saturday morning. But now I usually have company. Turns out a bunch of neighbors wanted to learn. So now it's become this informal Saturday morning fishing club. We've got like 8 regular people who come out. We call ourselves the Patricia Prevention Society. Too soon? Maybe. But here's what I learned from all this. 1. When someone has unchecked authority over a community, they can convince themselves that insane actions are justified. Patricia genuinely believed she was protecting property values. She didn't see herself as a poisoner or a criminal. She saw herself as a defender of community standards. That level of delusion is dangerous. 2. HOAs serve a purpose, but they need oversight and accountability. No one person should have unilateral power over where and how people live. Term limits, transparency, and recall provisions aren't optional. They're essential. 3. Sometimes the pettiest conflicts have the most serious consequences. This started because someone didn't like how fishing looked. It ended with federal charges and a poisoned water supply. There's a lesson there about proportionality and perspective. Document everything. I had emails, videos, witnesses, water tests. Without that evidence, this could have gone very differently. And finally, 5. Stand up for your rights, but be smart about it. I could have escalated aggressively from the start. Instead, I stayed calm, followed proper procedures, and let Patricia's own actions bury her. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting unreasonable people be unreasonable while you maintain receipts. Look, I never wanted to be the guy who sent an HOA president to federal prison. I just wanted to fish in my lake. But Patricia made choices. Terrible, illegal, dangerous choices. And those choices had consequences. The lake is healing. The community is stronger. And I've got a pretty wild story that I'm definitely telling at parties for the rest of my life. So if you're dealing with an out-of-control HOA or a power-tripping board member, remember this story. Document everything. Know your rights. Stand firm. And for the love of God, don't let them poison your water supply. I'm Jake. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this absolute insanity, hit that subscribe button because trust me, HOA drama is apparently never ending and I've got more stories. And hey, if you've got your own HOA horror story, drop it in the comments. I want to hear it. Until next time, stay safe, stand your ground, and maybe don't make your HOA president so angry they commit federal crimes.